الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيدا والصلاة والسلام على خير الأنام وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم إننا ما نتعلم والتعليم والتذكر والتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والدعاء إلى الهدى والضلالة على الخير والحث والتمسك بكتاب الله والسنة رسول الله ابتغاء مرضات الله وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. Worship Allah, we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praise it's worthy of a beneficent bestower of bounties and favours. And we ask our Lord Most High to send copious and unlimited and eternal blessings and salutations upon our beloved Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. I would read if you don't mind.
Is it page 77?
77, yeah.
Is it the start?
Yeah, just read the start if you don't mind.
You must scrupulously avoid prohibited and suspect things. Scrupulousness, wara, is the pillar of religion, and it is the pivot emphasized by the practicing scholars. The Messenger of God, may blessings and peace be upon him, has said, all flesh that was grown on wrongfully acquired money, the fire has first right to it, and the one who guards himself against suspect things has protected his religion and his honor. And the one who falls into suspect things will fall into the prohibited.
Alright, so this is for us more than anything a recap, because it's what we spent the last 2 weeks just trying to understand the concept, and like I said, the difficulty was for me was not to overburden anyone. That's not the deen. The deen isn't trying to make everyone extraordinary. Everyone has to make their own choice and make their own decisions in their own life as to how they want to be in this life and how they want to be in the next life. Everyone's got that right to do that. He says, وَعَلَيْكَ بِالْوَرْعِ مِنَ الْمُحَرَّمَاتِ وَالشُّبَهَاتِ فَإِنَّ الْوَرْعَ مَلَاكُ الدِّينِ والذي عليه المدار عند العلماء العاملين وقد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم كل لحم نبت من سحت فالنار أولى به وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام من اتقى الشبهات فقد استبرأ لدينه وعرضه ومن وقع في الشبهات وقع في الحرام. So specifically there he's talking about the two different types of things. Okay, الورع عن المحرمات وعن الشبهات. So the difference is taqwa is specifically about halal and haram. Okay, whereas wara is about haram and doubtful. If you want to, that first one we talked that first week about taqwa and wara, that's the easiest way I can express it to you. Taqwa is about halal and haram, where wara is about halal and haram and doubtful things. That's the extra thing that's added onto it. Okay? فَإِنَّ الْوَرَعَ مَلَاكُ الدِّينِ It's the what does he say in English?
The pillar.
It's more than the pillar. The malak is it means ownership. It means the head of the whole deen. That's the whole thing is in wara. The person who has wara has, and the Prophet will say it in a second, the hadith. وَالَّذِي عَلَيْهِ الْمُدَارُ عَنْدَ الْعُلَمَاءِ الْعَامِلِينَ. What does it say for madar? عَلَيْهِ الْمُدَارُ.
The pivot.
Yeah, the pivot. Like there's a word for it, something head. I forget what it's called. No, it's not the figurehead, bridgehead, something, I forget, it's an old English word. No, it's something head. Anyway, this is the pinnacle, so to speak, of it. It's not really the pinnacle, but it's everything that it revolves around this particular factor, in other words. This is the top part of it, the moving part that all the other parts are connected to. Without this part, the other parts, could be, yeah. The other parts, they're not functional with regards to it. And the ulama al-amilin. So it's talking about the scholars that perform what they know. Not the ones that just talk, philosophers and all these people, but the scholars that practice that knowledge which they have. He said, alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, every piece of meat, every flesh that is nourished from suht, and suht is haram. In other words, our own meat, in other words, that's what the reference is to. Okay, our own body, our own muscles or sinew or ligaments, tendons, whatever it might be. Every part of that is nourished by anything that's haram, whether it's money or food or whatever, is when the fire awla. The fire has priority. In other words, the hellfire will take that flesh before Jannah. Before that flesh is rewarded, if that is to be the case for the believer, and it will firstly go when to hellfire to be purified, and burnt in the hellfire. That's what purification is there. Then it will go to, inshallah, if they're a Muslim, to Jannah. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام من اتقى الشبهات فقد استبرأ لدينه وعرضه. So whoever is careful with regards to, what does he say, taqa? Guards. So it's about being cautious, guarding, being cautious with regards to the things that are doubtful. Then they have istabra'a bin al-bara'a, they're innocent. In other words, their deen is pure, their deen is good. What does he say in English?
Has protected his religion.
It's more than just a protection. In other words, he's not blameworthy or she's not blameworthy, that person. Their deen is not, no one can blame, oh, your deen's deficient in that regard. Okay? And their ird. Their ird, honor, means chastity. So that means it's referring to sexual acts. Because the person that, when Allah is doubtful things, they get into it, they end up, when Allah falling into haram in that regard. And that's when Allah widespread in our day and age. وَمَنْ وَقَعَ فِي الشُّبُهَاتِ, whoever falls into doubtful things, وَقَعَ فِي الْحَرَامِ. There's no doubt. That's it. Because the halal is clear and the haram is clear. So if a person cannot define what they're doing and confirm what they're doing is halal, then it becomes haram. In terms of wara. In terms of the quality of being scrupulous. That's the edge factor. But Allah Azza wa Jal, He made everything in its essence halal. سَخَرَ لَكُمْ مَا فِي السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Allah Azza wa Jal created and He made subservient to us all that which is in the heavens and earth. What is it that makes something haram? The order of Allah, right? The order of Allah, or what the Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam. So in essence, everything is truly permissible until Allah said it's haram. Like the Sharia of Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam was only two things: Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Adam Rasulullah, and at-tawbah. That's it. That's all they had. It was very, very, very simple. And Allah added on till we have what we have. Okay, so in its essence, that's why the deen is truly easy. Because in its essence, things are halal until Allah makes those things haram. You know, and like Sayyidina Yaqub, he's Israel, they call him, that's his name. He didn't like to eat camel meat. So he decided, oh, I'm not going to eat it. And the people came after him, Bani Israel, they said, oh, it's haram. But it's not haram. It's just he didn't like to eat it. So just because something is disliked or we have a disdain towards it or whatever, it doesn't mean it's haram unless the ruling comes. So that's why knowledge is a precursor to all of these things. Knowledge of what is halal and haram is a precursor to having a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's the fundamental relationship. He says, وَعْلَمْ أَنَّ الَّذِي يَتَنَاوَلُ الْحَرَامَ وَالشُّبَهَاتِ قَلَّ أَنْ يُوَفَّقَ لعمل العمل الصالح وإن وفق له ظاهرا فلا بد أن يعرض له من الآفات الباطنة ما يفسده عليه كالعجب والرياء.
Know that those who acquire prohibited and suspect things are seldom granted success in performing good deeds, and when they appear to be doing so, these are inevitably inwardly tarnished with hidden things which spoil them, such as self-admiration and ostentation.
Alright, so this is what the Imam's take on this is. After reading all this, the Qur'an and all these ahadith and all the different books about it and living his life and writing his own books and whatever Allah opened up upon him in terms of, he says that the person who eats haram, or eats, as the English says, suspicious, suspect, or doubtful things, it's unlikely, very unlikely that Allah Azza wa Jal would give that person tawfiq. In other words, give that person the opportunity to perform and the success in performing good deeds. And then he goes on to say that if that person is eating haram or being involved in haram and earning haram and that, and all suspicious things, and they are doing good deeds, outwardly it looks like they're performing good deeds, but inwardly they're not getting the benefit of those deeds because of their internal state. And their internal state is tarnished because of they're partaking in haram or suspect or doubtful things. And so he gives the example that the person will be performing, for example, whatever, they're giving money fi sabilillah, they're giving money to help the poor, but they're doing it to show off. Alright? Or ujub, that someone is, for example, educated and they're talking or they're giving classes or whatever, they're giving lectures or whatever, and they're overtaken by self-delusion that it's through their own ability or through their own skill or whatever that they're passing a message, or they've got a higher position than other people or something like that. That person, their deeds are worth 0. So on the outside it looks like they're performing deeds, but the reality behind it, and Allah, is that they got nothing. So that's why it's mentioned there, so we know that if a person is involved in doubtful or haram and they feel like they're doing good deeds, the reality is that internally they don't have that strength, that fortitude to be able to perform deeds in the right way with the sincere intention and then in the right spiritual state to get close to Allah Azza wa Jal. So in reality that's even worse. In reality that's even worse, because the person thinks they're traveling to Allah, thinks they're progressing in life, thinks they're progressing spiritually, but when Allah Azza wa Jal, it's istidraj, Allah is letting them go, and one day they're going to fall apart. وعلى كل حال فالذي يأكل الحرام عمله مردود عليه إن الله طيب لا يقبل ولا يقبل إلا الطيب إلا طيب.
In any case, the works of those who subsist on illicit resources are rejected. For God is good and accepts only that which is good.
Alright, so that also applies to one's intention. Also applies to one's intention. So, in other words, the state in which an individual is in when they perform a particular deed is as important, if not more important, than the actual deed in and of itself. So, if a person eats haram, we read the prophetic tradition last week, how long is it that their deeds are not accepted? Right? 40 days, they're infected. You want to call it, they've got a virus, or they're sick, or whatever, they still have to perform the prayers, they still have to do everything else that's part of the deen. If it's fasting, they still have to fast Ramadan, whatever the case might be, but there's no reward. Many no benefit. They're not benefited by that. But also, that at least they're removing the detriment by praying the fara'id. Okay? So, he says that Allah is pure. Tayyib, meaning halal. Allah doesn't accept anything that's not pure. So if the food is not pure, halalan, tayyiban. If the food is not halal, and the food is not pure, and the money is not pure, and all these other things that go along with what's permissible and what's doubtful, then Allah will reject that person's deeds. That person's deed is rejected, just like an intention. If someone's got an intention, yeah, I'm going to go to Jummah, and I'm also going to go see so-and-so and have lunch with them. Rejected. Sounds like a good intention, doesn't it? But it's not. What's the reason to go to Jummah? For Allah, to please Allah, to glorify Allah, to thank Allah, whatever it might be, but it has to revolve around Allah. So, just like the mixing of intention renders a deed invalid, as does the mixing of halal and haram in a person, or when Allah is straight haram, they get rejected by Allah. قال المؤلف رحمه الله رضي الله عنه وعنكم نفعنا به وبكم وبيان ذلك أن الأعمال لا يتصور فعلها إلا بحركات الجوارح وحركات الجوارح لا تستطاع إلا بالقوة المكتسبة من الغذاء فإذا كان الغذاء خبيثا كانت القوة والحركات المتولدة منه خبيثة. قال عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله تعالى عنهما لو صليتم حتى تكونوا كالحنياء وصمتم حتى تكونوا كالأوتار لم يقبل الله ذلك منكم إلا بورع حاجز.
The explanation of this is that acts can only be performed by using the body, and the body can only move by the energy obtained from food. If that food is vile, the energy it produces and the movements which result will also be vile. Abdullah ibn Umar, may God be pleased with him, with them both, has said, if you pray until your backs become bent and fast until you become thin like strings, God will only accept this if done with a safeguarding scrupulousness.
Alright, so we just discussed this. We went and jumped ahead a little bit. We discussed that it's a process, it's an equation, it's a formula, it's a system. Eat haram, someone eats haram, their body is nourished by haram, their cells ingest it and use it, and then it's turned into energy, and that energy is exerted on worshipping Allah. That's the reasoning behind it. Yeah? Is it straightforward or is it? Yeah? Alright? He goes on to say, وَرُوِيَ مَرْفُوعًا إِلَى رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَآلِهِ وسلم مَنْ اشْتَرَى ثَوْبًا بِعَشْرَ دَرَاهِمِ وفيها درهم من حرام لم يتقبل الله له الصلاة ما دام عليه شيء منه وإذا كان هذا الحكم وإذا كان هذا حكم الثوب الذي عشر ثمنه من حرام فكيف يكون الحال لو كان كله كذلك.
And it has been reported that the Messenger of God, may blessings and peace be upon him, has said, the prayers of a man who buys a garment for 10 dirhams, one of which is illicit, will not be accepted by God as long as he is wearing any part of it. If this is the situation with regard to a garment 1/10 of the price of which is illicit, what if the whole of it was so?
Okay. وإذا كان هذا في الملبوس الذي هو على ظاهر الجسد فما الظن به في الغذاء الذي يتخلل على العروق والأوصال ويسير في سائر البدن.
And if this is the situation with garments worn on the outside of the body, what about nutrition which runs through the veins and joints and infiltrates the whole body?
Right, so the Imam's drawing an analogy here. He's referring to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, as we just heard. It's pretty straightforward, is it not? That if a person buys, he's got, I don't know if you can, maybe if you said that $1,000 these days instead of 10. An example, someone buys something for $10 and $1 they stole it, they borrowed it without asking, whatever the case might be. As long as that person's wearing that garment, that piece of clothing, whether it's covering the whole body, a part of their body, whether it's a sock or an underwear or a scarf or, a hijab, a scarf around your neck or a bracelet or anything like that, that person's prayer will be rejected. Why will that person's prayer be rejected?
It's tainted.
Yeah, right. They're wearing haram. They're involving themselves in haram. It's not tayyib. It's not pure. So Allah only accepts that which is pure. All right. So the Imam's saying, let's compare that to what that's something that can be taken off. That's something that can be removed and changed. It's a garment. So what about if it goes and that's not accepted? One's prayer is not accepted for wearing a garment that has a 1/10 only of haram. So what about the person who nourishes their body with haram? That he's saying that the person's cells and the person's blood and the person's all the different components of the body merge together, and they're forced together to make that individual, and it's tainted with haram. So what would the case be? It'd be a lot worse, because it's actually infused in that individual. It's part of the individual rather than a garment which could be taken off. So he says, وَعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْمُحَرَّمَاتِ قِسْمَانِ أَحَدُهُمَا شَيْءٌ مُحَرَّمٌ لِعَيْنِهِ كَالْمَيْتَ وَالدَّمْ وَالْخَمْرِ وَنَحْوُ ذَلِكَ وهذا النوع لا يحل بوجه من الوجوه إلا عند الاضطرار وهو توقف بقاء النفس المحرمات على تناوله مع فقدان غيره.
Know that prohibited things are of two categories. Firstly, there are those which are prohibited in themselves, as for instances carcasses, blood and alcohol. These can never become permissible except in dire necessity, when they are the only things available and one's survival depends on using them. Secondly, that which...
That's right, thanks. So the Imam talks about two types of things that are haram. One that is in and of itself, inherently haram. Right? He gives the example, because starting off talking about food, he says a carcass. In other words, the carcass of an animal that has not been ritually slaughtered. In other words, slaughtered in a halal way. Haram. Or in other words, if it's died, if two animals butt each other and one gets knocked out and dies, if it gets its hoof or whatever leg stuck in a rock and it dies, if another animal attacks it, a wild, like a muftaris, a predatory animal, attacks it and whatever, chops off its back leg and it dies, whatever, it dies of old age, it drowns, it suffocates, heart attack, whatever, it's not slaughtered ritually in a halal way, then when a'udhu billah azza wa jal, that thing is haram. Blood, can't drink blood, it's haram. So he talks about khamr, that's wine, alcohol, it's haram. All those things, khanzir, when a'udhu billah, pig, haram. They can't be halal except if someone is in dire necessity. Okay? That's the rahmah of Allah azza wa jal. That those things are the muharramat, those things are the prohibited, sanctified things of Allah azza wa jal. But Allah determines that in order for one to save one's life, it's permissible for one to eat those things to maintain one's strength enough to live. Whatever the case might be, غير باغٍ. So the person shouldn't be liking to do it. Oh, whatever, bacon pie or whatever, bacon egg roll or whatever, it's there. I want to eat it. The person wants to eat it. And when I was a believer, it's still okay for them, but one shouldn't have the desire to perform haram.
In that situation, then will it be haram for them not to eat it?
Yes, the ulama talk about that if a person, the only thing that it's left to eat is a pig or pork product or whatever, and they're going to die, not that they're hungry, they're going to, oh, like, I'm dying to eat. No, I'm dying that their body is so malnourished they're going to die, then it's wajib upon that person to eat that pig to maintain their health, to maintain their life. Alright? And the other one is وَالثَّانِي حَلَالٌ فِي نَفْسِهِ كَالْحِنْطَ والماء الطاهر ولكنه مملوك لغيرك فلا يزال محرما عليك حتى يصير إليك من وجه سائغ في الشرع كالبيع والهبة والإرث ونحو ذلك.
Secondly, that which is illicit in itself, such as wood and clean water.
Illicit in itself.
Secondly, that which is
licit.
Sorry, my bad. Licit in itself, such as wood and clean water, but which is owned by someone else, thus remaining illicit until acquired by lawful means, such as buying or receiving as a gift or an inheritance, and so forth.
All right. So this is the more to the category of money, right? Things that are goods, things that are owned, products and things like that. So they're in and of themselves, these things are halal. He talks about food, a book, a pen, a phone, shoes, whatever they might be, and clothing as long as it's shari clothing, and the book as long as it's not a pornographic book or something like that, or naked people in it, then or it's not about drinking alcohol or whatever, then it's permissible. And he gives the example of al-hinta. What does he say? The hinta is wheat. Yeah, is that what he says?
Wood. He says he would. Yeah.
It says wood.
Wood.
Clean water.
Well, okay.
Yeah, he's like the husks.
All right. So al-hinta is the grain of the wheat, and that includes it's a whole grain of wheat. And then he says al-ma' al-tahir, water that is pure, and that's all he says. Those two examples. So, because you get the idea, these things are halal, and an apple is halal, right? An orange is halal. When does it become haram? When it's not yours, exactly. When you don't have what they call proprietary rights over it. When you're not entitled to touch that thing. When you're not entitled to use that thing, then it becomes haram. Unless it's given to you, or sold to you, or you inherit it, or it comes about in some other way where you own that thing for you to eat. So that means that you can't go out to the farm here in Orange and jump over the farmer's fence and grab the sheep and say Bismillah Allahu Akbar and eat the sheep, say, oh, I slaughtered halal. But the way that you came about having the sheep was haram. So it doesn't matter what you do after that. Yeah? Clear? Any questions about that? It's pretty straightforward. Alright? The Imam says, وَأَمَّا الشُّبَهَاتِ فَهِيَ دَرَجَاتِ فَمِنْهَا مَا تُيِقِّنَ تحريمه وشك في حله وهذه الشبهة حكمها حكم الحرام.
Doubtful or suspect things are of many degrees. In the case of some, you may be almost convinced of their being prohibited, but still entertain the possibility of their being illicit. These things should be considered prohibited.
Okay? So now he talks about the area where wara' comes into it. The area where scrupulousness has to be used in order to determine whether something can be ingested or benefited from. So he says that there's different levels of these things. مَا تَيَقَّنَ تَحْرِيمَهُ وَشُكَّ فِي حِلِّهِ. So there's something that a person knows it's haram. And he says maybe it's halal. He knows it's haram or she knows it's haram, but says possibly. So meat is a good example in that. You go to a town and there's no Muslims in the town. And you see the duck, it's hung upside down, but it's missing its head. And I think, well, maybe it looks like it's haram, but maybe it's been slaughtered in the right way. He says, وَهَذِهِ أَشُبْهَ حُكْمَهَا حُكْمَ الْحَرَامِ. So if you cannot, because in its asl, in its foundation, meat has to be ritually slaughtered in a halal way. If you can't prove that, then what? It's haram. Okay? So that's it. Just leave it. It's haram. The second one is وَمِنْهَا مَا تُيُقَّنَ حِلُّهُ وَشَكَّ فِي تَحْرِيمِهِ وَهَذِهَا الشُّبْهَةَ تَرْكُهَا مِنَ الْوَرَعِ.
Other things you may be convinced are licit, but a suspicion exists that they may be prohibited. These should be avoided out of scrupulousness.
Alright? مَا تَيَقَّنَ, not تُيُقِّنَ. مَا تَيَقَّنَ حِلَّهُ وَشُكَّ فِي تَحْرِيمِهِ. So the person knows. The person knows, or she's made their investigations to determine that something is halal. But there's doubt about it. There's doubt. Now that meat is another good example. You know, like whatever in terms of how it comes in Australia, you go somewhere and then it says on the door halal, and you go in and they serve pork there in that same place, or they serve alcohol in that same place. So now that you see the halal sign, you're sure that the meat is halal. No problem. You've done your investigations and you know that whichever authority is giving out the halal certificates is fine. But what do you see there? You see that they're serving other things that are not halal. Pork is the main example, and wine or alcohol is the other example. So, tarkuha, what does it say? وَهِيَ شُبْهَةٌ تَرْكُهَا مِنَ الْوَرَعِ. So that's where wara' comes into it. It may still be halal, right? The food that you're about to eat, the meat you're about to eat, and that doesn't just mean meat. That means if you go to a place and you want to buy something vegetarian, a pizza's a good example, or Subway or whatever, and they got non-halal things there like pork, prosciutto, whatever, all those different types of cold sliced, whatever they are, bologna and whatever else they got. That sort of stuff there. So you know that it's vegetarian, it's halal, it's a better example than the meat. You know, but is there contamination going on there? And that's where it's better in that case to leave it. It's from the wara'. Does it mean that it's haram, that food?
No.
Cannot be.
MashaAllah, okay? Even if it was meat, does it mean it's haram? Right? It doesn't mean it's haram. Because you know that the halal certificate says halal. Okay? But from the wara', from being scrupulousness, doing all your calculations and working out, well, look, the people that are working behind the counter, they're not even Muslims. If they were Muslims, that might even be something different. And they were like, Muslim by name as they're called, like whatever. The brother's working there, he's got all tattoos and nose rings, and he said, "Bro, assalamu alaikum, mate, brother, what's happening, brother, what's happening?" This, that. You think to yourself, maybe this guy doesn't know the rules of halal and haram. Maybe he doesn't, maybe he doesn't even say salam. He goes, "How you going? What's up?" Whatever he says to you these days. And then you think, oh, the guy looks like his badge on his name says Mustafa or whatever it is. But you're like, alright, the guy works here, but does he know the rules of halal and haram? So that increases. Now, the situation might be different. There might be a sister, she wears hijab, she says, Assalamu alaikum, she starts telling you, oh, we have this utensil, and we have this utensil, and this utensil we use on this side, and those plates never mix on this one, and I only work in this section, and I'm the one I'm very careful about, okay? That might take away the doubt that you have that whether that there's contamination. You with me?
Yeah.
Or am I losing you? Yeah? So it's the process. It's the process that you've got to work it out. So another example is fish and chips. If you go to the fish and chip shop, they only serve fish and chips there. But they got what? Chico rolls, and I don't know if you know what Chico rolls are. Back in the day we used to rip them. They were nice, but they got animal fat in it, so you can't eat them. So but where do they dip those things? Dim sims and all that. They put them in the fryer that they use the chips for. So the guy brings out the box, he says, yeah, halal brother, no worries, it's got halal. But where's he putting the prawns and the calamari? Everyone's going to get hungry now, and everything else. He's putting it in the chip fryer. But what does he put in the fish fryer? Just fish. So if you go there, scrupulousness, right? You have to check it out. Can you put the prawns and things for me into the fish fryer? If he says yes, what she says is give her a tip. Don't just go, oh, that's it, I'm Muslim, I rule the world, whatever I want happens. Look, they're running a business. These people want to make money, that's their point. So if you have a special request and it's halal in particular, make sure you give them extra money. Make sure you buy something extra and let them know I'm buying this extra because you have the good service here, you're looking after us, I'm going to tell my friends about it, they're going to come. That way people will be more encouraged, the shop owners will be more encouraged to do things that are halal as well on top of it. That's a side thing. Okay? So the last one he says, well, any questions about any of that? You understand it, khalas? You know how to deal with the Greek guy at the fish and chip shop now?
A lot of them saw bee battered fish. Bee battered
Yeah,
fish.
you ask about that because it's not, some of it is real beer and some of it isn't. They just call it that. So ask about those. That's the wara. That's wara, is asking, is making those investigations to make sure that what you're putting into your mouth, therefore into your body, therefore into your worship, therefore you're giving to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as your deeds, is halal. Otherwise, what for? What for? What a waste of time. Anyway, وَمِنْهَا مَا هُوَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ كالذي يحتمل أن يكون حلالا ويحتمل أن يكون حراما وقد قال عليه الصلاة والسلام دع ما يريبك إلى ما لا يريبك.
Other things are between these two degrees. For instance, things which have an equal chance of being licit or illicit.
Yep.
The Prophet has said, may blessings and peace be upon him, leave that which is suspect in favour of that which is not. A man's scrupulous...
That's it. So let's stick to that same example. You walk into the place, right? The guy sees you, oh brother, welcome, halal, everything halal. And there's no certificate, you don't know what's going on there, you got no idea. But he said, no brother, me I always buy everything halal, and he starts giving you, wallah brother, wallah. Or if he's Turkish, wallahi, wallahi, everything I've got here, it's halal. And then it's up to you, you don't know if it is, you don't know if it's not. You're not sure if it's halal, maybe it isn't. You know what, you're going to grill the guy, he doesn't know how to read the Fatiha, you're going to ask him about the rules of halal. That's up to you what you want to do. It's up to you. But what's the story? You can't tell. You don't know whether it's on the favour of this side or the favour of that side. So in that scenario, what did the Prophet say? Leave that which is doubtful for that which is not doubtful. Is that what he says in English?
Leave that which is suspect in favour of that which is not.
Alright, so suspect, but it's a bit of a heavy word. So when there's a doubt there. So if the brother, that's the thing, the ghalabat al-dhann. If he's a brother and he says, look brother, I get it from this warehouse and I'm very careful and you're convinced by what he says, it's halal for you to eat it. But if you've got a doubt with laham, with food, meat, you can't eat it. Alright, so if he's got something else on the menu, fish cakes or whatever, get fish cakes. If he's got nothing else, don't forget the falafels when you go there, they put them in the oil. So what else do they put in the oil? You've got to ask the question, what else do you cook in that oil? Alright, otherwise, just get him to give you a piece of bread, go home, or whatever. So you got to work it out. You got to make sure that you understand what you're putting in your mouth. Because that really is the basis of the deen. Really is the basis. And that's why in that regard, that wara is such an important quality to have, that scrupulousness, especially in this country. Unfortunately, you've got to be a biochemist. You've got to read all the 471, whether it's this and this has got lectin in it, and this has got halal gelatin in it, and this has got soy lectin in it, and this has got whatever. And then some of the stuff, man, Oh, I don't know if it's true, but that's what I came across. Some of the ice creams, they're flavoured red. They use something out of the bugs. I don't know if it's true or not, but
I've heard that
Carnitine?
carnitine, is it true?
Calming, yeah.
They make it out of they crush the.
Doesn't that like sound expensive, bro? When everything's chemicalized, like that's what they say. I'm with you, but let's look at how do they make vinegar these days? How do they make anything? They make it in massive, humongous vats, and everything's oversized. And they put chemicals. How do they make salt? They get sodium, they get chloride, they put it in a vat, they dry it, they sell it. It doesn't come from the ocean. You got to pay more for that, triple for that price. So my theory is that, like I said, this is my own calculations. Why would they go and harvest bugs, you with me, and grow the bugs, or buy the bugs, or whatever, and crush it? Does it make sense? Not to me. Not in the society we live in. Our society is about money. Money, 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 money. That's the only reason everything happens. That's the only reason. Why do we shop at Aldi? As an example. Not because the food... When have you ever seen an advertisement for food that says the quality of this food is good? When have you heard two people talking about a conversation when they say, I bought this food because the quality of this food, it's good, it's wholesome, it's beneficial. No, Habibi, shubek ente, what are you doing? I'm special. They used to have red light specials when I was a kid. Used to go to Kmart, and they had this red siren, you remember that? Everyone used to rush it. It was like crazy, you know. Now they got rid of it. I don't know why. But anyway,
It's over the PA now.
they're now the announcer. It used to be crazy. Everyone used to rush red light special in whatever the toy section. Everyone used to rush there and fight over the toys and whatever the deal was. So the catalogue that comes to your house, it doesn't say this food is good. It says 50% off, 80% off, cheap, and that's what we want. That's what we're trained. That's what we're trained to do. So the brother, he'll rather go and, myself, anyone, would rather go and have a meal at a cafe or a nice meal and spend $80 and then when we say, brother, there's organic's too expensive. Why don't you just drop $80 on one meal? Or $20, $30 on one meal. And they'll get you 12 organic eggs. Go taste the organic egg. Go taste one. Go taste the organic banana. See what your hands smell like after you eat it. Yeah, it's whatever, $5 or $6 a kilo, but taste it. Put it in your food and taste it, and then tell me the difference. So we're used to that society. We're used to society of more or less. It's all based on money. So I don't think they go crush the bugs, but I don't know. Maybe they do. I have no idea. But what I'm saying is you have to be a biochemist basically these days to know what's in your food. So the more wholesome the food is, halalan, tayyiban, the less processed your food is. Firstly, it's better for you, and it's more nourishing, and it's healthier. And secondly, which is probably the second aspect, it's not, what? The apple's an apple. What are they going to put in it? That's it. It's pure. A nut is a nut. A cashew is a cashew. Sultana's a sultana. And how do they do sultanas these days? Chemicals. They taste it. Then go get one of those organic sun-ripened sultanas. Just eat one. All right, it's 5 times the price. I'll give you that. It's 5 times the price. But go taste it. It's 10 times the taste or 20 times the taste. So really value-wise, in my view, Allahu Alim, it's better. Because you actually, not only is it halal, you know what you're eating, but it's not going to, why is everyone getting sick? Because of all the pesticides and chemicals and whatever else. Actually, after last week, one brother, he went to the shops after class and he sent me the photo of the apples. And even in the photo, they were so shiny because of all the chemicals and stuff on it. He was saying it. They were that shiny. He goes, when I saw it, it's true. Apple's not supposed to look like that. He goes, I'll go buy organic apples. Alhamdulillah, someone got through to someone, alhamdulillah. So the point being is that it's tough. What did the Prophet say? The one who's onto their deen, alayhi salatu wasalam, the one at the end of time is holding onto their deen is like the one holding onto a hot coal. And that's one of the reasons. You can't eat anything these days. You can't eat anything and everything else gives you cancer. It's like, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? How are you going to survive? So, misfortunately, unfortunately, we have to be careful about those things. But I personally think that, imagine that when you're shopping and when you're doing things, you're looking for what's halal. You're looking for what's wholesome. That means your shopping is elevated to the status of ibadah. Your shopping, your spending your money, if you have that intention, is elevated to the eat, whatever it is that you want to eat, is elevated to the status of ibadah. It's elevated to the status of worship. It's not just a mundane thing that you go, or if you do it online, they deliver it to your house, or whatever the case might be. Right? So, Alright, it seems on one side that, yeah, look, it's overbearing and it's burdensome and, you know, it's too tough and why does it have to be this hard? Why wasn't I born in the time of Imam Ghazali or whatever the case might be? All of us wish we were, I suppose. Yeah. But there's a benefit there. There's a benefit there. That you understand exactly what's going into your mouth, exactly what's going into your body. You understand how to have a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from that basic element of the food that you purchase so that you can eat. And in my view, Allahu alam, Allah knows better, in my view, that makes your ibadah daim, like it's continual. The ibadah becomes a continual ibadah when you're worried about those things. And look, we said it last time, we should be worried about where our clothes come from. Is it made in some sweatshop in some place? Or is it made somewhere else? You know, they're the type of things that we consider. When was the last time you went and got something tailor-made? I don't know if they call the same thing for women. But for the brothers, when did you get a shirt? Go and get a shirt and it's made just for you.
Yeah.
What's the feeling? When you get something, you put it on, it's just made for you. No sizes, no tags, no nothing. Alright, it costs you a little bit more, but at least you know some poor person in some third world country, you know, wasn't exploited to make that clothes. And it's going to have barakah in it? Of course it's going to have barakah in it. And if you buy something that covers your awrah, so for the men is where? Where's the awrah for a man? Above the belly button to where? Below the knees. So those funky shorts, boys, don't wear them. Well, now it's our turn to cop because we've been giving it to the sisters for years and years and years. The hijabs, or they wear hijabs and they wear tight. Now the brothers, they go to the masjid and they're wearing above their knees. In the masjid. And they've got to put the izar on. What are you talking about? So in front of Allah, you think Allah doesn't see you when you're out of the masjid? Only when you go to pray, Allah's seeing you. You're not showing your awrah everywhere. The person who shows the awrah, the shaitan comes and the angels leave. Whoever's awrah is showing, that's what happens. The angels don't come around that person. So the brothers, they got beards. You see them, they got beards, they got the hat, and they're wearing the shorts. Above the knees. What if you got stuck somewhere and you had to pray? What are you going to do? Pull your pants down, tuck your shirt in or something? I don't know. Doesn't make sense. You're a Muslim. You should always be having your card. So if you make something like the three, that's a good example, the 3/4 pants, we never used to be able to find them. They never used to be around back in the day. We want to wear shorts because it's hot. And Australia's climate, even these clothes, are not really made for Australian climate. This is made for a desert climate. Australia's got that humid climate. It needs as less clothes as you can wear. But covering your older stuff. That's the catch. We used to go make them. The tailor used to go, why? You used to pay $80 to make a pair of shorts without the material. Just for his. Just, why? It's so expensive. Go, covering my older. Covering my older. And the tailor used to go, these are crazy. And you have to make 2 or 3 because some are sweating, all that sort of stuff. Now they're $10 in Bankstown. You can get them anywhere, you know. So that $80 we spent back in the day when there wasn't any 3/4 pants, that's a ibadah. And every time we prayed, we're getting reward for that money that we spent. And the same for anyone who does that with the clothes that they have and the things they purchase. And also with the intention that they're not oppressing anybody. There's no injustices because of the clothes and the things they're wearing.
You know, with the element of doubtfulness.
Huh?
The element of doubtfulness.
Yeah.
Is it like an ounce of doubt will make a haram?
It depends on the thing.
If you're 99% sure, it's
But it depends on what it is. Like if it's about meat, yeah, any doubt, no.
Okay.
Right? Any doubt? That's not wara, that's taqwa. The halal and haram of meat is if there's doubt, it's haram. But other things, no, there's a scope. So it depends on what it is, but it depends on the nature of the thing. No.
I've got another question. So let's just say, for example, you're doing work for someone.
Yep.
You know where he gets his money from, and like you know 100% like he's like gets his money from 100% something that's not right. And then like you do your work, which is halal, like you're doing your job, and he gives that money to you. Is that under the same?
Right. Look, that's a good question. That's next class's topic. But basically, there's shara and there's wara. Right? Shara'an, if I have a contract with somebody, right, it doesn't matter. Like I said to you, the unit that I rent, I don't even know the bloke who owns it. It could be a gangster or a drug dealer or a bikie or I don't know, whatever. It might be a contract killer or something. I don't know what he is. You know, I don't know what he is. I have no idea. But I rent his unit. But the agreement between him and I've never met the guy. I deal with the agent. So the deal between him and I, Shara'an, is 100% halal because it's a rentor, rentee agreement, whatever you want to call it. So I rent the unit and I pay him the rent and that's it. I don't have to worry about it. Wara'an is different. Wara' is to look into and investigate. That's what we said, is it not? The scrupulousness of investigating to the lowest detail. So if I wanted to have full wara', I have to find out who the guy is, which the agent probably wouldn't give me his name. Like in that situation, wara' is a bit hard to find out. But let's say in your situation, you're working for someone, wara'an, you'd stay away. Shara'an, it's halal, because you're just doing a buy-sell agreement. But wara'an, if you're looking to be scrupulous about where your money comes from, and you're being scrupulous about your dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you want to be scrupulous with regards to your ibadah to Allah, you'd stay away. If 100% his money is haram, and the next week the Imam talks about it, right? Or if you know some of his money, and that's all these dole bludgers I'm telling you about. All these guys are on Centrelink and they act like they're on like they're not working and they're all doing funny business. They're the types of things as well. So if you want to push it that far, and really, Sharan, if you know, like how are you going to know? If they speak about it, oh yeah, I ripped off the government, yeah, I do that, then no, don't deal with them. If you don't know or you're suspicious, and we'll talk about that, Imam talks about that next week as well, then it's not up to you to make those investigations. We don't go and hire private eyes to follow people around and all that sort of stuff. It's haram to do that. Don't spy on each other. So you don't need to go do that. But if someone is an open fasiq, they're an open fasiq is like, not hypocrite, but it's kind of hypocrite. If they're openly talking, yeah, I go here and I drink and I chase women and I gamble and I get my money from here, then you don't want to deal with people like that. There's no barakah in your money. But Shar'an, you can. It's up to you if you want to. If the agreement between you and that person is halal and haram.
I was going to ask, what if you're a criminal lawyer, defense lawyer, for example?
If you're a what?
Criminal lawyer.
Yeah.
You probably assume everyone's money is coming to you. It's pretty. There you go.
Well, so the assumption isn't enough. You know, like, because we don't have to spy on people to find out what the deal is. If they tell you my money's from drugs, that's a different story.
I mean, what if their manners, for example, on drugs?
It depends if they're guilty or not guilty. In that regard, if they admit to you, yeah, I've done the crime, my money's from the proceeds of drugs, the best you can do is go to them and do a plea mitigation and get them off. But then you've got to be careful where your money comes from. But if they say to you, no, I didn't do it, and they even say, wallah, then that's it. It's over for you. You don't have to make those investigations. Even if there are doubts in your mind about it, because of your own personal experience, that doesn't cut it. Because there are laws, and those laws are applied with the procedure and everything else that goes around with those things. So even if they're found guilty and they said to you, oh no, well, I'm a brother, and I said, no, wallah, I didn't do it, you can believe them, no worries. There's evidence and all that sort of stuff that goes to it. If they can't meet the requirements, I mean, it's got to be proven against them. So if they didn't do it, it'd probably be pretty hard. Unless they're saying they set me up and, it wasn't me, it was my twin brother or my cousin who looks like me or whatever the case might be. But once you know that that thing is, then wara'an, you should stay away from it. Shar'an, you're entitled to take the money. You're not taking the money by stealing it or ripping it off. You're working, you're doing your job, you're helping the person. Any other questions? Yep.
Didn't you say last week the Prophet accepted wheat from a Jew who participated in liver?
Yep.
So Shar'an, that was fine.
So Shar'an, it's okay.
He still ate from it.
Wara'an, like it's up to yourself if you want to do it or not. Wara'an is your own standard that you set for yourself, as we said last time. So the Prophet ﷺ, he found a date one time, picked it up off the ground, off the street, and he said, I would have eaten this date, though that I'm not sure whether it was for sadaqah, whether it was for charity, because the Prophet's not allowed to eat charity. So that's an example of his wara in that circumstance. But the difference between that date and the dealing is an actual dealing. You with me? He's doing a dealing. So he's showing us, the Prophet, that Shar'an, that's okay. Yeah. He's showing us that, look, if you want to go ahead and trade with a merchant, like what was the Jews do? They do riba, they lie, they do whatever in that time. That's how things were. If you want to do it, you're entitled to do it. It's not a problem. But if you want to live to the level of wara, or in that circumstance you want to go to the level of wara, then you'd stay away from it, particularly if you knew. And next time we'll talk about that. What if someone tells you that so-and-so their money isn't halal? So from the level of wara is not to have doubt in the person you were told about. So person A comes to you and says person B, their money isn't halal. So you, as a person of wara, would not think that person B's money is haram, because you don't know, and that person is just telling you, nor would you have a bad thought about person A that told you. That's wara, that's the level of wara. So next time, Inshallah, next week there'll be no class because it's a holiday and they close the centre anyway. And then for a couple of weeks after that, there'll be no classes as well. I'll let you know when we're back on, inshallah. So the 15th will be the next class, isn't it? Alright, so
15th of April.
April, yeah. It's nearly a month. So it's a chance for, we'll have another competition, inshallah. Whoever can do the most salawat. But this time we'll split it up between brothers and sisters because the brothers are always 50,000 less than the sisters and it just wouldn't be fair. We already did it twice. So whoever can do the most salawat between now and then, next time you come, just write on a bit of paper. And any sigha you want. Allahumma salli alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sallam. Whichever way you want to give salawat. So next time we'll come, we'll have a prize for the brother that does the most and for the sister that does the most, inshallah. But don't let the same person, we don't let the same person's won twice in a row, isn't it? You better do something to have a
They
crack.
need to keep their hold as well. They got to make sure that they fight. So.
The person, yeah, that's right, you got to struggle to do more.
Wouldn't it be daylight savings will be changed by
I think
then?
that it will be,
Third of
but
April.
still 7:15, doesn't matter. This class days 7:15, summer or winter, daylight savings or otherwise. Inshallah ta'ala. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Any questions about any of that or anything else?